Colts fans, the saga is over. Jonathan Taylor and the Indianapolis Colts have agreed to a long-term contract extension. And you guys know, with that type of news, Drake and I have to talk about it. Welcome to a special Saturday night episode of the Horseshoe Huddle Podcast presented by Fan Nation on SI.com, part of the Fans First Sports Network. My name is Andrew Moore, and I'm here as always with my fellow writer and co-host of the Horseshoe Huddle Podcast, Drake Wally. Drake, it never fails. Every time I'm out spending time with my family, spending time with my wife. The wife and I were at an Apple festival this morning, and of course the Jonathan Taylor news breaks, sending all of Colts Nation into a complete and utter uproar. But how are you doing, man? How's your Saturday been? And boy, it's never a dull moment here when you talk about the Indianapolis Colts.
My Saturday's fantastic. My fiance Aubrey went up to surprise her dad in South Bend for his birthday, so I stayed home and watched the animals. But while you were away, I was writing up my 3 keys for the defense to beat the Titans, and here comes this news about, all right, Jonathan Taylor's been activated, and Jake Funk's moved to, I believe, the practice squad, or I think he had been waived. I can't remember exactly which one. But then all of a sudden you're like, okay, that's pretty big news. And then here comes this contract extension, which is surprised, I think, every single one of us that writes about the team. So, hey, you know what? It's nice. It's maybe the biggest breath of fresh air since the Anthony Richardson selection in the NFL draft.
Right, and I think it's huge, obviously, not only for now, but for the future of this team. And we expect tonight's chat to be absolutely off the chain. Stats Matt getting us off to a very hot start with the super chat. Thank you so much,
Cheers.
Stats Matt. Cheers to you, buddy. Says, since Colts are in a giving mood, so am I. We've got 2 freaks in the backfield for 4+ years, barring issues. We even made these guys work on a Saturday. Let's go. Hey, for news like this, Drake and I will hop on and talk some Colts football. That definitely worth it. So Stats Matt, thank you so much for your super chat, buddy. As always, we appreciate all of your support. The CFO of Horseshoe Huddle coming in is Patrick with his first super chat of the evening. Thank you so much, Patrick. He says, people that said they knew he'd always sign being the same people to skewer Ballard for quote unquote wasting money if JT gets injured again. So yeah, I mean, it definitely you're seeing some people definitely backtrack online, but hey, that's what the internet is for, I guess. Patrick, thank you so much, buddy, for the super chat. Tonight is going to be a lot of fun. Logan Schmidt, the GOAT, is in the chat. Let's freaking go to keep it PG. Sir Enzo Fernandez with the thumbs up. Eric,
got a first-time listener, a couple right there.
Absolutely. Eric Combs, let's effing go. Yeah, Stats Matt was texting me while I was at the festival with my wife. He said, thought Andrew died because he didn't hear from me. Just trying to enjoy a nice fall day with my wife.
What a jerk.
When it's in football season and you do the job that Drake and I do, it's hard to enjoy some time off in the fall. And of course, the Colts couldn't allow me to do that. But Truitt is in the chat as well. Truitt said that he was trying to put a super chat in, but he doesn't see it. Well, Truitt, you still have time, or a super sticker if you want to get that in. Definitely, we would appreciate all of your support. Patrick with another super chat saying he enjoyed the spaces with Drake today. Drake's been on fire. Drake has been all over this coverage since it broke. So shout out to the hardest working man in Colts media. That is my co-host and colleague, Drake Wally, absolutely killing the game. But guys, if you haven't done so already, please go follow us on all of our socials before we dive in tonight. Like Horseshoe Huddle on Facebook, follow at Colts on FN on X, and subscribe to the Horseshoe Huddle YouTube channel. Hit that bell so you know whenever Drake and I are going live, because you never know when episodes like this are going to pop off, or whenever Shad goes live with the Saddle Up show. Shad might be joining us tonight. He's going to try to get home in time to join us sometime on the show tonight, so we might see that. But if you can't catch us live, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you listen to podcasts, we're on there as well. So make sure you subscribe and give us a 5-star review. So Drake, honestly, buddy, we have so much to talk about in so little time. We're not going to keep the people on their Saturday night, but we're sure going to talk some Colts football. So let's get right into it. The Colts and Jonathan Taylor agreed to a contract extension today, shortly after the superstar running back was taken off the physically unable to perform list. It's a 3-year, $42 million extension with $26.5 million guaranteed. So that's an average annual value of $14 million per season, puts him third highest running back in NFL history behind Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara, right at that $14 million mark. Fantastic deal for Jonathan Taylor. Kind of what we had been talking about for months about what this deal was going to be. And it seems like when you see the picture that the Colts put out of Jonathan Taylor signing his contract, yeah, I'd have that pretty big smile if I was getting $42 million as well. So Drake, when you saw this notification come across your screen, give it to me. What was your gut reaction, that first initial thought, and just everything that we have talked about Jonathan Taylor and this soap opera with the Indianapolis Colts really since June?
Yeah, two things real quick. So SE Concrete, I think, is a first-time listener, excited about the football team. Hey, a lot of people are. Thank you so much for tuning in on a Saturday. And Logan Schmidt, my drink is definitely more exciting than usual for this news. So I got to say, it's something we just didn't see coming this soon. Anyway, if you thought that this was going to happen, you didn't expect it to happen right here, right now, as soon as he's ready to go. What this tells everyone, and me included, and I think you as well, I think we can agree on this, that you're not just going to hand over $26.5 million guaranteed to a guy that you might not be sure about his health. I think that Jonathan Taylor is sure of himself. I think that Chris Ballard is sure of Jonathan Taylor. And I actually said on the space with Patrick earlier, I said that in my opinion, my prediction was that the Colts wanted to originally pay him like $12.5 million a year on the same length of a deal, maybe with like $20 million guaranteed or so. And I think that Malky Cowell was pushing for higher, and I think they just put their position really high. And I think that the Colts met somewhere in the middle with them. And that's what we said the range should be, right? I think we were talking like between 13 and 14.5 million. So I think that it's nice that now Jonathan Taylor, he was all smiles in that picture. I mean, he looked like he was the opposite of what we saw the hood wearing, just grumbly looking Jonathan Taylor of the offseason. So you can put it behind him now. And hey, remember how we talked about how exciting just the thought of Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor was? Now you get to see it.
Absolutely. Another super chat from Patrick saying, really wish if the organization knew this deal was almost done, they had just delayed Jonathan Taylor's first presser until after signing, so it wasn't so adversarial. And yeah, I mean, I could see that, Patrick. I think the pressure from the media and the pressure from the fans to have Jonathan Taylor speak was there. They probably ironing out the final details of the contract, and that is why they decided to have Jonathan Taylor go out there, because they knew that this was the likely outcome. So well, the timing might have not have been great. I mean, still, we're going to hear from Jonathan Taylor a lot more this season, possibly even after tomorrow afternoon's game, definitely probably next week. So we'll get to hear some different things from him there. Patrick, really appreciate the super chat as always, buddy. Just fantastic having you on here. We have another legend in the house with Logan Schmidt, his $5 super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. He said we've been preaching about this deal for months now, and Logan, you're exactly right. I mean, Logan is a very loyal listener, is here every night. He knows that when we've been talking about a deal, we've been saying about 3 years, about 13 to 14 million per year with a substantial amount of guarantees for the running back position would probably get it done. Now, I think there was a lot of things that led up to getting this done and getting to that mark, and we'll talk about those tonight, but definitely talking about this type of deal, and glad they could come to terms on this. Logan, thank you so much for your super chat, buddy. We appreciate all of your support. And then the final super chat that we have currently is from Ty Bob, one of our newest listeners.
Yeah,
Ty Bob,
thank you so much.
Does this mean Michael Pittman Jr.'s contract is in jeopardy? Not at all. The
Nope.
the two contracts are completely separate. Just because one was going to get a contract doesn't mean the other wasn't going to get one. The Colts still are very interested in re-signing Michael Pittman Jr. And they've budgeted for this as well. So just because Taylor got his money doesn't mean that Pitt doesn't have an opportunity to get his money with the Colts, and the Colts certainly would like to eventually get something done there. So really appreciate your support and your super chat to Ty Bob. Thank you for joining us tonight. And then Logan Schmidt with another $5 super chat. Jart time. So I've seen Logan try to get that nickname going for Jart for Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor. Hey, it might just take off depending on how fantastic this duo is, and it's going to be a lot of fun to really watch this come to fruition. So thank you so much, Logan, for all your support. It absolutely means the world to Drake and I. But Drake, my gut reaction was holy bleep when I saw that come across my phone were the first words out of my mouth. Don't know if I should have said that around my little niece and nephew that I was around today, but just kind of came out saying that today when I saw the news, because I honestly wasn't expecting it yet. I thought we were going to have to wait at least a couple weeks so the Colts could see Jonathan Taylor in the Shane Steichen offense, see him healthy, make sure he could stay healthy, and then I thought maybe a month down the road, possibly, then we could maybe see a contract extension. Not the same day that he came off the PUP list and before he has even played a single down in the 2023 NFL season. But honestly, with how everything has come together, this was the best deal for both sides. Both sides were working towards this agreement, and this is ultimately, I think, the best case for Jonathan Taylor and what he wanted. Best case for the Indianapolis Colts and what they want moving forward. So we'll dive into how exactly this extension came about. We have another super chat, this guy from the man Truitt himself.
He figured it out.
He got it. He said, JT back in the building, chief janitor operator at Horseshoe Huddle, looking sweet. Really, really appreciate it, Truitt. You're such a loyal listener. Usually the first commenter every single evening as well. Thank you so much for your super chat. And Patrick is in the chat being a menace already. Can't we have some wholesome family time? So yeah, it definitely, my wife did chastise me for using such foul language around our godchildren, but I digress. And maybe that's why she hasn't come in with her super sticker tonight either. We'll have to see. But Drake, honestly, I'm gonna kind of start out like this. I want to kind of give my take, and then I want to hear how do you think the extension came about. So we've already heard multiple reports today. The Stephen Holder report was obviously the biggest one. About he had been reporting that the two sides were coming closer together. Well, he gave more details on that today. Turns out Chris Ballard last week reached out to Malky Kawa and Jonathan Taylor's representation and said, hey, let's really try to work this. Let's try to get a deal done. And that's how things kind of got rolling. This is how things kind of started getting in motion over the past couple of weeks. And that's how it culminated today with the deal that was put in place. Now, the coming to that figure amount, it goes all the way back into July or to August, excuse me, when the Colts did allow Jonathan Taylor to go out and seek a trade. When Taylor and his representation, Malky Kawa, was able to go speak with different teams, that's kind of when we all know how Chris Ballard loves to let his free agents kind of go determine the market for themselves. In a sense, this is exactly what happened. Malky Kawa went out and reached out to multiple different teams and kind of negotiated what possibly the deal could be. Coming into the season and coming into these negotiations, I have it on good authority that Jonathan Taylor did want to be paid the highest running back in the NFL. He was looking at wanting $17 million a year. That simply wasn't going to happen, even if the Colts were ready to give him a contract before he was healthy, before the start of this season. that was just not in the ballpark. So Taylor and his agent, they go out, they surveyed the rest of the NFL, and really no other team was willing to do that either. That's why Chris Ballard, when he said the market is what the market is, that's kind of what he was alluding to, is that they weren't, this was kind of what the market is. There wasn't going to be another $16 million running back like Christian McCaffrey, not just yet. So kind of finding what Jonathan Taylor's market was with these other teams, it really helped kind of find a common ground and a common negotiating ground for these two teams. Now, as weeks have gone along, as Jonathan Taylor has been progressing, Taylor and his side came to the conclusion, you know what, we're not getting anywhere. The best way for us to go out there and get the money that we want is for Jonathan Taylor to be healthy and for him to go out there and play. That was really Jonathan Taylor's only option. Then a couple weeks ago, as Jonathan Taylor starts working out, ramping things up, get ready to come back, and I want to credit Chris Ballard for this, because when he spoke about this, he was very honest, very candid, saying that at the time, their relationship, it sucked. It really did. But he did say, and as Wyatt Law says right here, relationship has been repaired. Kudos, Chris Ballard. Chris Ballard said he held out hope that this relationship could be repaired. Chris Ballard reached out to Malky Kawa. They have been negotiating over the past few weeks. The last step was just making sure and seeing Jonathan Taylor healthy, fully 100% healthy from that ankle injury. This week at practice really confirmed that Jonathan Taylor is back and is healthy now. And that's all Chris Ballard really needed to see. Once he saw that, he pulled the trigger and he said, let's get a deal done. So there was compromise on both sides. The Colts had to compromise and be willing to kind of give Jonathan Taylor an extension, maybe more before they were actually ready. Chris Ballard did cave a little bit, but credit to Jonathan Taylor. And I know Colts fans don't want to hear this, but credit to Malky Kawa as well for not sticking their head in the sand, not just saying, nope, no matter what, it's got to be 17 million or else. Malky Kawa and Jonathan Taylor did come down from their initial offer, and they found that common ground that we all had been talking about, because we were all the cooler heads in this situation. 13 to 14 million around that area, and the Colts Taylor ended up on the high end at 14 million to make him the third highest running back in the NFL. So that is all that I have heard over the past few hours since this came out, talking to various people I know within the industry, kind of working the phones and talking to various sources that I have. That's how this all came together. And in the end, it ended up for a happy medium for both Jonathan Taylor and the Colts. And Drake, I'm so sorry. I feel like I've gone on like a 12-minute tangent saying that, but that's everything that I have heard. So I see Patrick's super chat, but I want to let you first, Drake, kind of give your reaction to all of that as I take a break from just babbling on about this situation.
No, you're like a painter, all right? Just painting a picture, brush strokes, genius level technique, all right? No, there's nothing wrong with that rant, okay? This has been the biggest issue / story / sponge of news / our content that we create. Holy cow, how much did we put out on Jonathan Taylor and Malky Kawa and Jim Irsay and Chris Ballard? I mean, more than we can count. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with that rant. It's something that has been a buildup and it's finally over, So I think that when we talk about this at the end of the day, I think that there was a lot of jostling. Probably there were so many prices probably thrown around, so many different levels of where they wanted to be each side. I'm sure the Colts started out around that 12.5. I'm sure that, like you said, you've got it on good authority that Malky and Jonathan were more at the 17 million a year. So that's $4.5 million of room you got to work out, and that's a lot. So it's like we always said, hey, it's probably, if it gets done, going to be between that 13 and maybe $14.5 million range. And there it is, right at $14 million a year. So I really think that this is good for everybody. And I got to say it, I'm just excited that this means something again. Okay, this means something right here. You can do that with Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss in the backfield. And hey, I know the people that are the Zach Moss fans out there, I know you might be a little sad, but look, I really think that his touches will be that much more valuable, I think, when you have Jonathan Taylor back there. If they can work somebody else in there, kind of like maybe the pass down back or the receiving back. But hey, this is really great news for the Colts. It's great news for Colts fans, and it's great news for Indianapolis.
Absolutely. Now let's get to our super chat here. We have a couple more flying in. The CFO with another one on this Saturday evening. Patrick is an absolute menace in the chat, and he's just dominating the super chats tonight as the king he is. Patrick says, never forget just a week ago, Dan Graziano of ESPN saying JT didn't want to be a Colt and the Colts didn't want to pay him. More proof to listen to the Horseshoe Huddle guys and not national media clown shoes. So Patrick, we really do appreciate all of your support and
thank you
for appreciating all of our hard work here at Horseshoe Huddle. We have a fantastic squad. Drake, Jake Arthur, Zach Hicks, Rashad McGinnis, myself. It's just we really try to give the best to our Colts fans here, and that's why you should always really look into the local media rather than the national guys. Most of all, thank you so much, Patrick, for all of your support. We also have one from Pharaoh 1K. Pharaoh, thanks for joining us again, buddy. Really appreciate the super chat here. Pharaoh says the league is not ready for that Super Scion RPO. And honestly, Pharaoh, you lead Drake and I into our exact next point. Is now that the extension is done, guess what, guys? We don't have to talk about Jonathan Taylor in a contract anymore. We get to talk about Jonathan Taylor playing football and playing football for the long term, because that 3-year extension, it's from 2024 to 2026. So the Colts have Jonathan Taylor for at least 4 more years. So Drake, let's really just dive right into what Pharaoh is talking about. Thank you so much for your super chat, buddy, and appreciate you taking your Saturday night to join us here. Drake, what's this going to look like? We're going to have Anthony Richardson in the backfield with Jonathan Taylor now for the long term. What are you expecting out of this? And really, what does this extension do for this franchise's future?
So real quick, that's a Dragon Ball Z reference from Pharaoh 1K. All right, so it's Super Saiyan. Basically, for those who don't watch the show Dragon Ball Z, it's anime Superman. Like it's like basically guys in anime in a fighting show that have the power of Superman. So he's basically saying the league's not ready for such a potent running attack and offensive, juggernaut that has that duo in it. So thank you so much for the super chat again. But I think what this means is like you said, for the next 4 years they've got him. That's exactly in Anthony Richardson's rookie deal. So that lines Jonathan Taylor up with Anthony Richardson, with Shane Steichen for those 6 years in his contract, which of course can be moved around. But the Colts are preparing for the long term. They realize they've got this super duper young squad, as we've referenced a bunch. They are the 3rd youngest overall average in the entire league. That's so young. I think it's 25 years of age. So they know they've got to get these guys to develop together. You need to have continuity. You need to be able to understand what your teammate is doing, what are their habits, what are their strengths, weaknesses, so that you can be a better quarterback. Okay, Manning knew everything about Harrison. He knew everything about Wayne. He knew everything about Dallas Clark. Okay, he knew everything about those linemen, and they grew together. Okay, so that's what you have to do with this offense. And now we get to talk about Jonathan Taylor being a part of it. I don't think it's going to hit their pocketbook too hard over the next 3 years either, because they're getting the upfront, but they're getting the guarantee done early. And hey, man, you know what? He might still, as long as Richardson's still developing those passing mechanics, Jonathan Taylor might be the best overall offensive player on the team right now.
Exactly. And here's the thing too. I think this also kind of, I haven't got this on good authority, but it very well could have played a role into all of this as well. Is the Colts seeing Anthony Richardson over this first month of the season, going out there and being like, this kid is not nearly as far away as everyone thought, and Anthony Richardson could make a major impact for this team very, very soon. It might not be 3 years down the road. It might be next year or even this year, even if he keeps on this type of pace and can stay healthy. Anthony Richardson is off to a blazing start for this team. And you want to pair, it's okay to pay a superstar running back and while he's still in his prime, and pair him when you have a quarterback like Anthony Richardson on that rookie deal. So you guys got to remember this: the Colts aren't paying a starting quarterback $40-45 million a year right now. No, now Anthony Richardson on that rookie deal for the next 5 seasons is an absolute steal for the Indianapolis Colts, especially if his development continues in an upward trajectory and he becomes this bona fide franchise quarterback that he's starting to get to that point. So by keeping Jonathan Taylor there, not only is it going to like you said, Drake, lock these two in together while Richardson is still on that rookie deal, it's going to take pressure off of Anthony Richardson. It just makes this offense so much more potent, like we've been saying since April 28th of this year when Richardson was drafted by the Indianapolis Colts. And there's so many different things that you can attack defenses with, whether it's the RPO game with Richardson and Taylor, the option game, whether it's Anthony Richardson needing to take over one game, whether it's Jonathan Taylor needing to take over one game. You think about when we talk about Lamar Jackson, and I know that there are two different quarterbacks, and I really don't want to compare Anthony Richardson to Lamar Jackson because I don't think that's fair yet. But as terms of their athletic ability and the way they run the football, Lamar Jackson really hasn't had the type of running back of a Jonathan Taylor next to him. And so can you imagine what Lamar Jackson would be if he had a back like a Jonathan Taylor, a top 5 running back in the NFL? It'd be almost impossible to stop. That's what the Colts are envisioning with Anthony Richardson, is as a guy that can not only throw the lights out of the football, he is almost unstoppable in the running game. And then you pair a top 5 running back and Jonathan Taylor next to him, boy, good luck. Wink Martindale talked about how he wasn't getting much sleep this week trying to prepare for the Miami Dolphins. I mean, when the Giants play the Colts next time, I don't know if Wink Martindale's going to be getting much sleep trying to stop AR and JT.
Well, I will say that if it's any indication so far of how the season's gone for the New York Giants, I do think Gus Bradley's going to get plenty of sleep playing Daniel Jones at least. So, hey, I'll say this. At the end of the day, I think that Jonathan Taylor is also going to be able to really unlock the full potential of the Shane Steichen scheme. Okay, Now Shane Steichen can really hammer some stuff home because – it sucks for Zach Moss because as great as he has been, and we got to talk about him minus Jonathan Taylor, inevitably when Jonathan Taylor became healthy and if he was going to become a Colt again, which he has, now you have to start talking about the comparison between the two, unfortunately. Zach Moss is a good running back. He is not a great running back, though, but he's good, and that's better than average. So I think that he now gets to be in a running back committee with Jonathan Taylor. I will say that it would hit its maximum potential if they could still probably get their hands on a receiving back somehow, just because I do think Jonathan Taylor needs to work for that $14 million a year now. You need to be better in pass blocking. You probably need to be more involved in the passing game. Okay, I think you're going to see the most unlocked version of Jonathan Taylor. I really do. He's got the best offensive mind he's had, the most capable quarterback. He's got a resurgent offensive line around him, and he's got reason now to play his ever-loving butt off. So I think that all those things considered, I think that Jonathan Taylor has probably the most motivation he's ever had to play at the highest level he can.
Absolutely. Another super chat here from Patrick. The man just keeps them flowing in. Thank you so much, buddy, for all your support. It really does mean the world to Drake and I. Patrick says, anyone have on their 2023 bingo card that the Colts and Texans were going to be the two most exciting teams in the AFC South? Titans poverty incoming. And it certainly has been pretty impressive performances by the Colts and the Texans. The Titans haven't really shown. I mean, obviously tomorrow's a big matchup. We'll see how it goes. But the Titans haven't been as entertaining, I would say, as those teams, and Jacksonville has certainly gotten off to a slower start than I think we all expected. This defense or this division right now is completely up for grabs, and I mean the Colts face Tennessee again this week, and they face Jacksonville next week. I mean, those are two huge divisional matchups that the Colts really need to win if they're hoping to really compete for this division this year. So, Patrick, thank you so much, buddy, for the super chats. Again, it just means the absolute world to Drake and I. You're an absolute legend, and we appreciate the hell out of you. But Drake, I mean, you talking about Zach Moss and everything. I still don't think that Zach Moss is going to fall to the wayside here. I think he's proved he's shown that he can handle a workload like this, and that way you don't have to run Jonathan Taylor into the ground with 25 carries a night. You can give Jonathan Taylor some rest heading into the fourth quarter because you have a back of capable of Zach Moss, and at least for this season, because Zach Moss is in the final year of his deal. So my guess with this extension, Zach Moss probably is not returning because he can make a lot more money on the open market somewhere else and be a number one back for a team. I'm fully confident in that, the way he has played for this Colts team towards the end of last season and at the beginning of this season. So for Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss, it can be a nice 1-2 punch as let me see here. I saw it earlier. The comments are just flying through here. As Sir Enzo Fernandez said, Taylor and Moss is a great 1-2 punch. And Enzo's 100% correct.
Oh, yeah.
Keep those two rolling together. Jonathan Taylor, as I think Stats Matt mentioned, Jonathan Taylor is a home run hitter. Zach Moss is a guy that can really fight for that extra yardage, keep his legs churning. So they have different strengths to them, and you can use them both. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Shane Steichen, like you said, unlocks the full potential of this scheme. And remember, one of the biggest strengths of Shane Steichen's offense, outside of developing the quarterback in Jalen Hurts, that running game for the Eagles last year was just so dynamic, so explosive, and it was just so unique in how they were able to take on blocks and really spring so many backs for good games. So you get both of those guys in there, it's going to be fantastic. Pharaoh 1K with another super chat here saying, if we get Alec Pierce going, we can be scary. Certainly, if the Colts could get Alec Pierce to get going, and alongside Michael Pittman, who's already gotten off to a pretty fast start as well this season, getting Jonathan Taylor back into the fold, Anthony Richardson continues to develop with Josh Downs, getting Jelani Woods back. This Colts offense, man, there's a lot of potential here, a lot of potential. Pharaoh 1K, thank you so much for all of your support.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, it really does mean a lot. So Drake, as we kind of wrap things up here tonight, just one final question for you. How do you feel about this Colts team, the state of this Colts franchise moving forward?
I think that this really puts all the pieces together. They just need to shore up some injury issues with Jelani Woods and Bernard Ryman and Kwity Paye. But look, man, this is a team that they're hungry. They now have arguably their most potent offensive weapon with a guy who has already shown in his early development that he can be absolutely potent in his own right. And then you have Shane Steichen, who has become a coach that I think we can agree, Andrew, he is pushing his competition. In his first year, he is outwitting his competition in his first year. He's making his competition make mistakes with their coaching. Guys like John Harbaugh, who have won a freaking Super Bowl and constantly been in Super Bowl contention, not just playoff contention. Okay, all of this put together, I think that Jonathan Taylor is the final infinity stone in the Colts gauntlet, if you will. Okay, this was the missing piece that they needed. And now when Evan Hull, even next year when you'll still have Jonathan Taylor, Evan Hull can be that pass catching back. Now he gets to get factored into all this. But if we're talking about this season right here, right now, I mean, the Colts have started 2-2. They're tied, with literally the rest of their division. But I think if you're talking about the next couple of years, man, Anthony Richardson gets to develop with Jonathan Taylor at his disposal. And that is what every Colts fan wanted. That's what every Colts media member wanted. And I'm pretty sure that's what the Colts brass wanted as well. That's why they got the deal done.
Yeah, absolutely. It secures your best offensive player for the time being with your young rookie quarterback that has been absolutely ascending. And Stats Matt with another super chat here. Thank you so much, buddy. Stats Matt saying now we can evaluate personnel. Well, minus Woods, but Woods should be returning soon. But now you're about to have your full arsenal back. When Woods comes back, you will have your full arsenal on offense. Then it's time. Take this young team and see how high they can go. And Drake, I'm going to credit Drake because he said this earlier today, right after Jonathan Taylor was signed to that extension. it's a great day to be a Colts fan. And I think we can be all in 100% agreement on that. So that's our show for tonight, guys. Really appreciate you joining us on your Saturday night to talk some Colts football. And the super chats were absolutely flying. Want to give a shout out to Stats Matt, Patrick Rye, Logan Schmidt, Ty Bob, Truitt, Pharaoh 1K, all of you guys, absolute monsters and legends. Hold a special place in Drake and I's heart. Give another couple shout outs to, I know Sarah was trying to get people in tonight for the chat. Sarah, thank you so much. Wyatt Law, B-Ball. I know I'm going to miss people, and I do apologize. Augustine, Jason.
We had Wow Martian too.
Wild Martian, Time with the Bible, all of you guys, Eric McCombs, all of you, we really do appreciate every single one of your support. And please, if you haven't done so, get on the train, get on the Horseshoe Huddle wagon, like all of our things on our socials, like Horseshoe Huddle on Facebook. Follow at Colts on FN on X, and subscribe to the Horseshoe Huddle YouTube channel. We're less than 200 subscribers away from 2,000. And you hit that bell so you know when Drake and I go live, whenever Shad goes live with the Saddle Up Show, so you never miss an episode. And if you can't catch us live, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you listen to podcasts, we're on there as well. So make sure you subscribe and give us a 5-star review so we can connect to more Colts fans just like you. There's really too much to talk about as far as what is on horseshoehuddle.com. So I'm just going to tell you, take it from me. Go to the site this evening while you're watching some college football, where you're just relaxing at home. Go ahead and read all the things on horseshoehuddle.com about this story. We're going to have more tomorrow, and all of our post-game analysis will be on horseshoehuddle.com as well. I know I am writing a piece that's going to go out on horseshoehuddle.com tomorrow morning about this whole Jonathan Taylor situation. Drake has already written pieces. Jake Arthur has written pieces that are on the site. Please go check those out at horseshoehuddle.com for more coverage on this situation and everything Colts. Go follow Drake at DWalsterDrake on X right there. Go follow me at Andrew Moore NFL, and we'll be back Monday night to talk about the Colts' big matchup with the Tennessee Titans, and hopefully we're joining you guys on a Victory Monday. So we can be thankful that the soap opera is over between Jonathan Taylor and the Indianapolis Colts, and he's going to be in Indy for a long time. So everyone, enjoy your weekend, enjoy the game tomorrow, and we'll be seeing you Monday night.